Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. Time for another week of the VLTED Challenge. We're excited to be using the VLTED app. It's VLTED. It's a place where you can store your sports predictions, participate in cash prize pools without an entry fee. Make sure to enter the Colin Cowherd pool, chance to win $2,500 in cash prizes. All you have to do is answer the questions with confidence points, walk away with some serious cash. You receive an exclusive challenge also from me on the VLTED app, VLTED, the VLTED app. Same stakes this week. First place, $2,000. Winner gets to compete against me, one-on-one challenge. VLTED offers free pools, cash prizes every single day. Congrats to last week's winner, the VLTED Challenge. Nathan Drazen won $2,000. He'll receive an exclusive challenge from me on the VLTED app. Download it, VLTED, the VLTED app. You can prove you're smarter than your friends on NFL, NBA, college hoops, college bowl games, whatever. J-Mac last week went 3-1. He extended his lead on me. First to 50 wins our VLTED Challenge. Here we go. Cowboys-Dolphins, you know my side. I like the Cowboys to win, plus 1.5. I think they could win comfortably. I'm risking 5 units. You're going to accept my VLTED challenge. Why?
Yeah, I mean, I got the Dolphins here, Colin. I did see some money come in today on the Cowboys, driven it down to pick them, and I don't feel great about that, but I will say I do feel great that Tyreek Hill's back in the mix at practice. Colin, I just worry about that Dallas man-to-man defense in the secondary. Quinn loves the man-to-man. You can't man-to-man Waddle and Tyreek. They will torch you. I think Miami has success offensively, and I do believe their defense with Fangio is underrated. I like the Dolphins.
All right, Ravens at Niners. Ravens is the side, plus 5.5. I think the Niners win, but I think John Harbaugh is an underdog. NFC teams have struggled against Lamar. I'm going to risk 6 units. You're going to accept the challenge. Why?
Yeah, because I get the better team. I get the better coach. No disrespect to Harbaugh. I love me some Shanahan. I don't want to say I get the better quarterback because then you'll go off on a 10-minute tangent about how Brock Purdy is not the MVP. But I just, this San Francisco team, as long as the 2 defensive guys in the middle, Armstead and Hargrave, as long as they come back from injury, which, last week they were out. Arizona ran for like 225 yards or something insane. That could be the Ravens, but Colin, who's the running game? Justice Hill and Gus the Bus? This Keaton Mitchell injury is massive. I like the Niners here. 5.5 is a tough spot, but I'm going to lay it with Brock Purdy, the MVP.
Finally, Bills' future. I have picked them. I did on FS1 to get to the Super Bowl. I'll risk 3 units. You think I'm out of my mind? Why?
Out of your mind is a little strong. I do have a little bit of futures action with Buffalo. Listen, this is not your worst bet. Let's just say that. And if you went, say, 9 units, I think it'd be really, really sharp. But I don't think they're a lock to get in. They do need some help. They got to beat Miami in that final game of the season, likely. I don't see it, man. They've had a great run. Josh Allen has been heroic, but can he continue that for like 6 more games going on the road in the postseason? So I'll go against you here and say no.
So there you go. They're locked into the VLTED app, VLTED, and make sure to enter the Colin Cowherd pool. Totally free. First place, $2,000. Remember the VLTED app, VLTED. The QR code is right on the screen. Hello. I'm kind of on a heater. I don't want to brag about it.
Oh, yeah? How much of a heater?
4 straight winning weeks, 4-1 last week.
No matter how successful you are in whatever field you're in, when you're winning bets, it just like the whole day is brighter. And I say that like it doesn't matter how much you're wagering on it. You just feel good. Last week, we do our podcast on Sunday nights at 7:30. Normally, I am biting fingernails and sweating until 7:29 because I don't know how our day is going to end because of all the games that matter so much. Last week, we were so locked in. At 7 o'clock, I was doing dishes because it was like I was done. It was over. And it felt lovely.
It does. There's nothing better. By the way, before we get into our picks, I'm not a spender. I've never had a second car. Most of my cars have been used. I'm not a country club guy.
Second houses, however.
Those are investments. But I'm not a spender. But I and my wife, so I got to tell you a funny story. So once a year, I take my wife to Beverly Hills for a couple nights before Christmas, and we go look at the lights. We have a lovely dinner, and we just have fun. It's really a neat weekend for us. And so on Friday, I said, I'm going to make an effort here. We're going to go out tonight. I'm going to, go get a nice pair of slacks or something. And so I go to this store, and I don't know, it's Beverly Hills. There's no Target there, right? So I know
there's no price tags on any of the clothes.
No. So I go buy a couple pair of jeans, and they're nice jeans. I mean, they're not Levi 501 nice, but they're nice, right? So I go in and buy jeans, and then I buy a couple shirts. And, we've done well. I'm not somebody who sits at a grocery store and, or at a restaurant counts the check. I've done well, whatever. So I put it in my pocket, the check.
Yeah.
Salesman's great. But on my phone, like 5 minutes after I buy in my Amex card, it pops up. So I'm walking across the street. I spent $1,300 for a pair of jeans.
No.
Bro, I haven't thrown up since I was like 7. I was convulsing at the intersection. My wife started laughing. She thought it was the funniest thing ever. She's like, "You're sick to your stomach." I'm like, "Sick to my stomach? I can't do it this weekend. We're going to the Waffle House. I'll fly to Atlanta. I'm not eating."
Are they stitched in gold?
I haven't taken them off. I sleep in them. I'm getting every goddamn penny out of those things. I told my wife, I'm wearing those 6 times a week for 10 years to get the money back.
They're going to be the most comfortable jeans you've ever had, even if they're terrible.
So my wife looks at the tag, and my wife kind of knows this stuff. And she goes, "Oh, Jesus, blank." She calls her daughter. She goes, "Colin just bought a pair of jeans. Guess who he bought them from?" She names it. And I can hear my stepdaughter howling, laughing. She's like, "How much did it cost? $1,000?" And it's like, up. So there, ladies, and my takeaway is I'll get use out of them. I'm fine. But do you know there are people that do that every day? They go shop there every day.
Every day. Yeah. I once did that before, I went to Barney's. I had to go to a wedding. And I knew at the wedding, I knew at the wedding that the girl who was best friends with my girlfriend in college was going to be there. And I wanted to look as good as I could. I was going to be with Stacy. I wanted to look as good as I could because I knew she was going to report back. So I go to Barney's. I buy this suit. It's like perfect, off the rack. It was well north of $1,300. I had no business buying this suit because I was not making $1,300. And I buy it. I'm feeling good. My wife is making fun of me. She's like, "You're an idiot." We get to the wedding. My ex-girlfriend's best friend bailed on the wedding. Never showed up. I got this suit. I looked amazing. I've decided since then, I cannot spend a lot of money on clothes.
Yeah, well, I don't look good in clothes. I don't. So, stuff.
What I wear, Colin? Yeah. I wear my hoodie from the Volume Podcast Network. That's what I wear. That's all I need.
So much.
And I think, by the way, I might have gotten this for free.
You and I have similarities. We've done well. We love gambling. Both have our wives look like sisters. They're both
beautiful women.
Beautiful, red-haired, beautiful women. Tolerant women.
Yes.
And we are adverse to big spending. Although I do look, you probably I like nice vacation. I tell my kids, education and experiences. I'll spend on that. You know what's not on that list? Jeans.
No, definitely not. When my wife was in architecture school and I was working at ESPN the magazine and I was making not a lot of money and we were living in New York City and we had just gotten married, and my wife, who grew up on Staten Island, her mom was a teacher, her dad was an architect, very lovely lifestyle, but it was not like an extravagant lifestyle, right? I got the credit card after we got married and we're spending together now, and she's in architecture school. And she had spent like $400 on a pair of jeans. I'm like, what is going on here? And she's like, I just needed the jeans.
Yeah.
They were things that I needed in that moment.
Sure.
I didn't want to argue with it because it was still early in our life.
Well, I used to be when I used to be a hoarder and kind of a financial hoarder. Like, my ex-wife would laugh. She's like, you're going to be the richest dead guy ever. And then I met Ann, and Ann has certain needs, and she needed me to spend, which is fine because she's beautiful and it makes me really happy. But yeah, things have changed. All right, let's go. So good week. I'm going to give you the stuff, and I almost know where you're going to go with these, I feel. So I'm going to take the Steelers +2 at the Bengals. Pittsburgh gets a second look at a backup quarterback. They're a desperate team. Veteran coach, great as an underdog. They are a cornered animal. Steelers +2, sharp or square?
Totally sharp. This was a 2.5. It got bumped down. Look, you have a couple of advantages. One, no Jamar Chase. Two, buying or selling very high on the Bengals, buying very low on the Steelers. Three, no DJ Reader. And that is a huge deal in the middle of the defensive line for the Bengals. Not only is he great against the run, he's phenomenal against the pass. So you're really going to be limiting your pass rush capabilities against Mason Rudolph. And don't think like, all right, we're going from Kenny Pickett to Mitch Trubisky to Mason Rudolph. They're all the same. They're all the same. They're the same quarterback. And then you just mentioned the most important thing. Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin as a dog, most profitable coach the past 20 years. Mike Tomlin as a dog at home. Mike Tomlin as a dog in the division. Mike Tomlin as a dog late in the year. Mike Tomlin as a dog off a loss of more than 7. Like every category, it starts at 60% and gets up to 90%. No joke, against the spread. So yes, the wise guys, they're going to be on the Steelers.
It's that holiday time of the year again. Are you looking for something different for a special person in your life? How about Game Time? That's right. Think Game Time. Tickets for sports, concerts, comedy shows all make a fantastic gift this time of the year. So many games to watch, so many concerts to go to on a given day or week. The best way to get tickets to any of these games is Game Time. Any of these concerts, any of these shows is Game Time. They're obsessed with finding ways to get you the best, fairest priced, lowest priced tickets guaranteed. Okay, you can find exclusive flash deals. You can find sponsored deals and concert tickets daily. Check it, the Game Time app. They have zone deals. So you pick the section and Game Time picks the big seat and the big time savings. And with the Game Time guarantee, you'll get the best price guaranteed. If you find tickets in a same section for less, Game Time will credit you 110% the difference. How cool is that? So take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app. It's really simple, takes less than a minute, and the redeem code is Colin, COLIN. Download it for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. The redeem code is Colin, COLIN, $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute deals, lowest prices guaranteed. Game Time. I'm not getting the best number at Pick'em. I thought it was one of the bets of the year. I'll take Dallas +1.5 at the Dolphins. I have a theory. Very good teams who are physically humiliated on big TV games come back the following week. It's not just losing. It's being humiliated, physically pushed around. And Dallas is a physical team. Miami's not. Now, I do think they generate, since week 5, a very nice pass rush. That's a Fangio defense. But I think Dallas has something to prove. I think they were embarrassed. I think they're a good football team. I'm going to take Dallas to win by about a touchdown. +1.5 here, sharp or square.
Yeah, the wise guys are on the Cowboys. This opened at 2. It's been bet down. There's places where it's 1. You mentioned Pick'em as well. Like it would not surprise me, and some of the rumblings I've heard in the market from professional bettors, if Dallas ended up as the favorite in this game. So I will say it's very important you get Dallas as an underdog if you like them, because the trends start to work against you if they become the favorite in terms of covering. So you want to get them at the plus number. But for all the reasons you said, like there are a lot of trends that will back up the idea that when you are a team that has been blown out and then you are going on the road again as an underdog, you are the team that people should be backing. So in agreement so far. 2 for 2, Colin Cowherd.
The number's been bumped up. All of our odds provided by DraftKings. I'm talking to Chad Millman, CCO Action Network. Patriots +7 at the Broncos. Weather could be crappy. 7's a lot of points. Denver can nickel and dime you. Bailey Zappi is okay. He's not great, but my takeaway is this is a low-scoring, ugly, crappy weather game. At 6, I would probably stay away. At 7, I would take New England. That's a lot of points in lousy weather. We've had huge rain through Southern California. It's all moving into the mountains. Denver, Colorado over the next 2 to 3 days. Patriots +7, sharp or square?
Sharp-ish. Like, there's a lot better games on the board. There's not a huge edge with the Patriots at +7. The challenge for this game is that the Broncos, prior to last week, had been living off of turnover luck. That's how they were winning these games, right?
And that always evens out.
It always evens out, except they're playing Bailey Zappi. So what is the formula for winning for the Broncos? They're playing bad quarterbacks and getting turnovers. So what are they getting? They're getting, I would argue, Bailey Zappi is not a good quarterback, in bad weather, in altitude, in a hostile situation. This is tailor-made to be a turnover masterpiece for the Denver Broncos. Look at what happened last week with the Chiefs, right? The Patriots were in position to keep that game close. They come out of the locker room. Bailey Zappi, second throw. He's rolling out, throws it directly to a Chiefs defensive back. Like there's not even a Patriots receiver there. And that is going to happen 2 or 3 times in a game. And a couple of those times, at least one of those times, the Broncos are going to catch the ball. And that's going to be the way the game changes. I would not be comfortable betting the Patriots in this spot. I would bet the under, though.
All right, one more dog. Ravens +5.5 at the Niners. They're a bit beat up, but Harbaugh's an underdog. NFC teams facing for the first time Lamar Jackson. Now, the Niners have excellent linebackers. Twitchy, Fred Warner. They should be able to be more than competent against Lamar, but if you've never faced him and you don't have anybody in practice to duplicate it, it can be an avalanche. 5.5 is a silly number. This is a very close physical game. Hard to run on the Ravens. I'm taking the points all day here. I think it's a good game. I like the Niners. 5.5 seems almost disrespectful, sharp or square.
Yeah, so the wise guys are on the Ravens here. I will say I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted because I've got a decent-sized bet on Christian McCaffrey at 25-1 to win the MVP. And let's face it, this is the MVP bowl, right? You got Brock Purdy at about -200. You got Lamar Jackson at about 3-1. And depending on the book, you've got Christian McCaffrey is the third shortest odds, or Dak Prescott is third shortest and McCaffrey is fourth shortest. So in my heart of hearts, what I'm hoping for is Christian McCaffrey is dominant and that the Niners win the game. And then the next 2 weeks, it's just a coronation for Christian McCaffrey. And I win my Christian McCaffrey 25-1 MVP bet. The problem is that everything you just said, Lamar Jackson against the NFC, that's not a sort of quirky statistical.
It's like 16-1
anomaly. It's because there's nobody like Lamar Jackson that these NFC teams can prepare when they are playing him. Number 2, there are like some concerns. I haven't seen the injury reports from today, but look, Armstead and Hargrave on the defensive line for the Niners, when they were missing last week, the Cardinals gained nearly 400 yards, right?
Yep.
And they kept it close. So, and we also don't know about Lenore. Is he going to be playing in the defensive backfield? When he started to play, that defensive backfield was much better. So I do think there are some concerns, but I generally think the wise guys are looking at this and saying, the public is so high on the Niners, and there are reasons to be high on the Niners, right? They are undefeated when Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams are playing, and they are beating teams by double digits. They are a legit team. I do believe the Niners will win the Super Bowl, and I do believe we will look back on this team and think it is historically great for the past generation with the combination of Kyle Shanahan, who you think this, I think this, a lot of people who cover football think this. He's a brilliant coach who has had bad injury luck and not exactly the perfect people for what is an incredible system. And I think he has that. He's had luck on his side for health. But I think this week, the Ravens are probably going to be the sharp side.
All right, Tampa Bay, let's go to some favorites. -1.5. C.J. Beathard probably plays. Jacksonville's in a funk. Trevor Lawrence is banged up. I don't think he's been healthy in 3 weeks. We have to be honest about this. Baker Mayfield, with weapons and reasonable protection, is the best quarterback in his division. He plays with a great deal of confidence and emotion. I think he feels really good right now. Todd Bowles is letting him kind of control the offense. I know they're a favorite. I tend to like dogs, but C.J. Beathard is an average backup. I'm going to take the Bucs sharper square.
No real consensus on what side is the right side here. The Bucs were 2.5-point underdogs when this game opened before we had the insight on Trevor Lawrence. I will say what's interesting here, Baker Mayfield, no joke, he was elite. Yes. Against the Green Bay Packers. Like, I think he was 21 of 28, north of 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and all season long, the wise guys have been backing the Bucs. And the Bucs have been one of those teams where for 3 quarters, they're amazing, but there'll be 4 or 5 drives in the game where Mike Evans drops a ball or Baker throws a pick. And like, it just puts the game a little bit out of reach for them. But they've generally played really, really well.
Yes.
So I can't fault you for liking Baker in this spot. It's a scary spot because you're also backing Baker after he was just as good as he's ever been.
I know.
But with C.J. Beathard, yeah, you're taking a short home favorite.
Listen, we've all had fender benders in our life. Sometimes it's even more serious. But even if it's somebody else's mistake, you can lean on Morgan & Morgan. It's the nation's largest injury law firm. 100 offices and over 800 lawyers. With over $15 billion, that's a B, billion dollars recovered, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting for you to get full and fair compensation. Submit an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan. It's really, really easy. It's almost like a quarterback, an offensive head coach, and a GM that gets some good weapons makes their life easier. We all need somebody, good or bad days, to make our life a little easier. That's what Morgan & Morgan does. If you're ever injured, check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Colin or dial pound LAW, that's pound 529, from your cell phone. This is a paid advertisement. All right, let's go to games I want you to talk me into. So I have 2 rules in life. Number 1, don't do math. No winners. Number 2, always take a team favored by 4, because the odds makers are telling you we'd rather do 3. That's what we want to do. We can't. This team's better. Rams tonight. They're just better than the Saints. It'll be a coaching mismatch. Now it's down to 3.5, but at 4, I thought it was a great bet. Bears -4 to 4.5. I have been betting best quarterback in games, but I think Eberflus is coaching for his job. I don't think Arizona's guy's coaching for his job. I think Justin Fields is playing for his job.
Oh yeah,
this is a big game, a dome team going to crappy weather. It won't be a blizzard. The weather is kind of unseasonably mild in the Midwest, but I think the urgency and intensity here also. Remember last year how teams, after they played the Niners, like all lost. We're not tracking it this year as much, and the numbers aren't the same. But when you play San Francisco, there are repercussions. They're a really physical team. I think Arizona played spirited football. It's a really bad roster. The Bears aren't a bad roster. I want to take Chicago, sharp or square?
Square. The wise guys are on the Cardinals. The game was at 4.5. It got bet down to 4. I'd actually take it one step further. I don't think Eberflus is playing for his job. I think he's auditioning for his next coordinator job. I think Justin Fields is auditioning for the next team he's going to play on. I think that as a Bears fan, we saw what we saw last week against the Browns in that second half, where Justin Fields was like 7 of 19 for 60 yards, and that offense was not able to execute. And at some point, that's on the quarterback and his inability to find the right receivers. And on the coach for coaching a defense that gave up the game to Joe Flacco and had a 10-point lead. There's a stat that we were talking about on the Favorites podcast. The Bears, I think this season or maybe the last 2 seasons, have had 10-point leads in the fourth quarter 6 times. They're 3-3. Everybody else in the league, the past 2 seasons, something like 93-1. Literally, it's like a 93% win rate. Wow. So there's a lot of issues with that Bears team. I think that what we got in the Cardinals is a team that is just always going to be undervalued. And I don't think if you look at the market, there's going to be any professional bettor who says, oh yeah, I'm comfortable betting the Bears as more than a field goal favorite, which is why the line moved down. Also, don't forget, Kyler Murray against the spread on the road, 15-5. So You're talking about a guy who is very good at covering the spread. And by the way, he also covered it last weekend. That number was bouncing around. So I like what Kyler Murray can do here.
All right, finally, dumpster dive. What's something that I would probably be appalled with, but you think is pretty tasty? I'll say this. I thought about Eagles minus 12. They're bound to win.
Yeah, I think, look, in any other scenario, you're looking at Raiders plus 10 against the Chiefs. You're looking at Giants plus 12 against the Eagles. I'm not going to ask you to do those things. I'm not going to do those things this week. I think there's a lot of wonkiness in those games. And I think professional bettors are sort of divided on really betting those numbers. They're not really looking to do it. Can I interest you in the Atlanta Falcons minus 1?
Yeah, but by the way, McIntyre's on this. He's like, that's the sharp side this week.
It is. I mean, look, that number, I bet Atlanta at plus 2.5. And I know what I said. I said you got to be wary of those games that bounce from the one side as the underdog is now the favorite. But the Colts are really kind of frauds. And like Shane Steichen, he should be getting votes for Coach of the Year. What he has done with that team, what he has done with Gardner Minshew, who I think had won 2 games as a starter before this season. Like, he has put them in a position. But also you got to think about the teams they've beaten during the streak they've been on have not been very good. And now if you want to talk about a coach who is coaching for his job, you're talking about Arthur Smith. And he's putting Taylor Heineke back in there also because the Colts defense is just trash. Like, they can't really stop the run. They were good before Grover Stewart went on his PED suspension. They haven't been good since. They're in the middle of transitioning that defense. It's just not a very good defense. So I think, and also the Falcons offensive line, which was really injured. They had many players who were out or questionable heading into the game against the Panthers. Back at home on turf, Arthur Smith going to have to be as creative as he possibly can to keep this team in the hunt. I like the Falcons here. There's one more that I like. Probably not worth your time. It's a corner TV game. Are you ready? Tennessee Titans plus 2.5.
Yeah, well, the way Seattle won, people fall in love with they really have some really fun young athletes. But Vrabel at home, they're getting what, 3? What is it now?
2.5. Did it move to 3? I haven't even noticed. Did it?
It may have moved to 3.
I'm checking right now. If it did, all the better. Then go get that 3 because that's the game that the wise guys love. And I know it sounds
they like
crazy.
Tennessee plus 2.5. They love it.
Love it.
Why? Explain. Love?
Dude, sell on the team that just had the dramatic win in prime time, buy the team that just had the devastating loss. Mike Vrabel as an underdog. He's 26-28 straight up as an underdog, right? Like, this is a guy who just wins when he is counted out and his team is not supposed to win, let alone the amount of time that he covers as an underdog. Him and Tomlin are the 2 guys that wise guys love to cover. They love to cover in these exact spots, like to bet on in these exact spots. So, the wise guys are digging themselves some Tennessee Titans.
Chad Millman, happy holidays. CCO Action Network, all odds provided by DraftKings. Great talking to you, buddy.
Great seeing you too, brother. Happy holidays to you and the entire crew.